We are going to start the webinar in just a minute here. My name is Sean McMean. I'm the founder of Vinnie Restoration Marketing, and today's webinar is going to be about your 2026 restoration contract internet marketing roadmap and how to get your phones to ring in this upcoming year and how to finish the year strong. So, we just so I can make sure technically everything is working. Can you see me? Can you hear me? If you could press a 1 in the chat there, I'd really appreciate it. Awesome. Thanks, Griffin. And appreciate it. Great. Great. Okay. We are going to get started here in just a minute. Well, I am waiting for just one more minute here. If you wouldn't mind, I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri. Let me know where you're at in the what part of the country you're in. City's fine, state's fine, whatever. Add that in the chat there if you would, please. Cincinnati, awesome. Anchorage, Alaska. Okay, I can't complain about the cold then here in St. Louis. Thanks, Anna. Yeah, we got an early snow season here. We got 8 inches on Saturday and 3 or 4 the past couple days, so it doesn't usually happen. Okay, cool. We're gonna get started here just in a second. Just want to be conscious of your time. It should be about 30, 40 minutes here or whatever, but I'm giving you my full blueprint that we're going to be that we use for our clients on an active basis now. And there will be a recording of this and some downloadable assets. If you stay to the end, you will get access to those as well. So, all right, we are going to head and get started. Let me just check one more thing, make sure we're recording here. Okay, I believe we are recording. And all right, I'm going to start sharing my screen here in just a second. Okay, thank you guys so much for being a part of today's webinar, the 2026 Restoration Contractor Internet Marketing Roadmap. My name is Sean McMean. I'm the founder of Vinnie Restoration Marketing, and today's goal is to make sure that we give you the blueprint that we use for over 70 restoration contractors across the country. And whether we work with you or not, my goal is to help the industry out as a whole. And I'll share a little bit about my story, but today is about to give you your action plan and your blueprint so that you can take it and run with it or check and make sure you're doing these things now. So I'm going to share my screen, but at any time in this presentation, if something's not clear, you have a question, feel free to chat in the chat box there, and I will make sure I answer your question. But I'm also going to stay at the end here to answer any specific questions for you, or feel free to. I'll give you a booking link if you want to schedule a call with our team to discuss anything more in depth on your specific situation. So I'm going to share my screen now, and if I could just get a little participation in this, I just want to make sure that you are able to see my screen and that you are able to hear me. So if you wouldn't mind, again, putting a 1 in the chat, make sure we can see the screen there. And okay, great. Awesome. So again, that's the topic for today. And with this, we're going to cover the roadmap of getting your phone to ring. We're going to talk about AI search and the impact in 2026, strategies for SEO, pay-per-click, LSA, social media, all of those aspects, how to set marketing budgets to reach the goals you're trying to achieve, and help you develop an action plan to put things in place for 2026. Now, if you could just give me a few minutes of your time here, I promise you're going to get some valuable information. I'm an open book. You ask anybody that gets on a call with me, I'll tell you everything you need to know, whether you work with me or not. I just want to make sure I'm giving it back to the community. And so just give me, 40, 45 minutes here of your time. I promise you, I'm going to give you a copy of our book, our checklist, recordings of our past webinars, and we have a webinar each and every month. So again, today is about getting ready for 2026 and ending year strong. Who am I and why should you listen to me? I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but we're almost at 10 years in having our company. I started this primarily because I've personally been impacted by a fire. My house got struck by lightning when I was a little kid and burned to the as a homeowner, I've had a flood in my home too. So I know the impact that you guys have on your local community. And certainly, I want to make sure that I can help you connect with people all across the country that you can help. So I have 17 years of marketing experience, and 10 years ago, we dedicated to focusing on the restoration industry. Started a podcast, wrote a book. Never thought I'd write a book, but did that anyway. And so that's our blueprint that we use, and it's evolved and adapted over the years. There's lots of things changing online. We've helped a lot of different types of companies between independents and franchises and whatnot. And my goal setting at the beginning of 2025 was to help 100 restoration companies, and we checked that box this year. So, starting my goal for 2026 is to help 200 restoration companies. Whether I work with you directly or you get value out of a webinar or information that we're presenting, that's my goal. Some of the common issues that I see, I talk to tons of restoration companies across the country, and obviously there's tons of competition in your local environment. There's high costs for the industry, and there's lots of ups and downs on each and every month. And it's difficult to know what strategy you should deploy because honestly, most of the big companies out there, they're getting about 90% of the jobs, right? And so how are they doing this? They have increased visibility, they have a strong brand presence, and they have a reputation to back up everything that they're saying about their company. And so if you are not in that that 10% realm that's getting those huge amount of jobs, you need to have a playbook in place in order to help get you there, right? And so many of us have a passion for the industry and we want to make money, obviously, but we want to help people. And so most companies have this issue, whether you're a water damage company, a roofing company or not. Most companies have this issue is that no one knows who you are, right? And so that is a big challenge for everybody that is running a business. And ultimately, we want to become the best known company in our area. And so that's the goal. Certainly, you can rely on referrals and pay per lead services and things like that. But some of that is very highs and lows, right? And so how do we become that best known company in our area? It's it's ultimately whenever someone has a disaster, they have three distinct areas that they can contact. And I'm not telling you anything you guys don't already know, but that's one of the challenges with our industry in the water damage side is that, if a leak's happening in a home, are they going to call a plumber? Are they going to call the insurance company? Or are they going to search online? And most homeowners don't know anything about the restoration industry until they've had an issue, right? And so things have changed drastically on how to get your profile to show up online. Today, I'm going to focus on the internet side of things. But we have strategies on engaging plumbers and building plumbing relationships as well as insurance things as well. But ultimately, today we'll focus on the online piece. And if you're like anybody that's been online and you're trying to solve these things for yourself, you've seen so many different types of acronyms and things that you can try and what works and what doesn't work. And you're just kind of figuring out where should I spend my time, right? Because we only have so much time to dedicate on things. And today I'm really going to focus it down into three simple buckets for you. These are the three keys to success to build local trust. It starts with visibility in this industry. If you're not showing up online, you're not showing at the top of being online, you don't have a fighting chance to get those phone calls, right? And so a lot of that has to do with multiple areas of visibility, having multiple fishing poles in the water, and building a strong brand presence and a reputation to back up what you're saying about your brand as well. And so I'm not going to dig in too deep on the descriptions here, but visibility is about being available on search, on maps, on LSA, maps, AI search, and social media, and having that strong brand presence and reputation. I'm going to dig into each and every one of these here and tell you the pros and cons of each of them. But ultimately, what happens when you get this dialed in, what you're looking at here is a visibility scan for a client that we started with on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, after we get things dialed in, this is the visibility they have now. And so what you're seeing here are the 1, 2s, and 3s. This company is getting recommended. They have a fighting chance to get the phone call when somebody's searching for them, right? And so this happens all the time. Is another visibility, another case study here. We know what we're talking about. Now, the biggest thing here is that the visibility, gaining this visibility can differ depending on your market, how competitive it is, how many competitors are in that market, what the costs are to generate that visibility, and all those things. And so we're going to talk about all of those individually. But I'd love to understand if you could in the chat here, what size company you are right now. If you could put in the chat, if you're doing above a million, put a one in there. If you are doing below a million, go ahead and put a two in the chat. We have companies that we work with that are doing 10, 15, 20, 30 million. But if you're above a million, great. And now I'm talking revenue, right? So I just want to make sure I'm talking about strategies that can help you get to that next goal. So the vast majority of everybody in here is above a million. So great. Now, we want to have multiple fishing poles in the water, right? And so the goal of this is to tell you what the most effective strategies are, the best ROI for you, and ultimately the ones that have a high ROI. There's certain times when you want to use those strategies, and different effective strategies that can help you, get to that goal of 2 million or 5 million, whatever your goal is. So the first visibility component we're going to talk about is Google Maps profile. This is Google Business Profile. Google always changes the name about this every couple of years, it seems like, and your website. So it used to be that, oh, I'm going to throw up a website, the phone's going to start ringing. That's not the case. We all know that's not the case nowadays. Oh, I'm going to throw up a Google Maps profile, phone's going to start ringing. Not the case. You absolutely need to have these, and it's extremely important to have them, but just because you have them doesn't mean anything. The Google Maps profile is obviously going to increase your local presence, help you going to build a reputation and get the phone to ring. But there's very specific things that that you have to put in place on a consistent basis to get the visibility that I'm showing here on the right here. Those things I'm gonna dive into those, but before I do that, I'm going to discuss what could be hurting your rankings on maps. Okay. And a lot of these things people just aren't aware of, but it's my mission to help you be aware of it, because the water damage category is very, very difficult to compete in. These factors need to be in place in order for you to have success and get you on a level playing field. Number one, you need to have an office in the city you're trying to target. All of us have a big radius that we want to help people in, 100 miles out, whatever. But ultimately, if you don't have an office with a flag in the pole in the ground in the city you're trying to help people in, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle big time. And so that's a key factor in determining whether Google is going to recommend you or not, is where you're located at. And if your address is not shown on your Google business profile, it's another important factor. I'd say 9.99% of the time that when I do analysis and your profile is not showing up and you don't have an address on there, that's the main reason why your profile is not showing up. Now, to expand that profile, there's different things that you have to have in place. But if you're not showing up in right around your office, it's usually because your address is not listed on your profile, and it's called a service area business. It's a huge problem in the water damage space. If you're a general contractor, not as big as a problem. But if you look at all your competitors, when you do a search around you, you'll see their addresses are showing. And so it's something important to make sure you're doing. Also, there's tons of fake listings out there. The water damage category has a magnifying glass over it, and Google does not trust it because of all the fake listings and lead generation companies that have been out there. So they make it very difficult for legitimate businesses. You need to have a consistent name, address, phone number on that profile, and try not to overly spam your name in your profile. But what I will tell you is the name has a big factor in why, or if you are having success. If your company's name is ABC, and you don't have some sort of restoration term in there or roofing term or whatever that primary service is in your company name, you're going to struggle. The best profiles that succeed have the local name, whatever your company is, Bob's Restoration Company of Chicago, right? If you have those three factors in that name, then you're going to be setting yourself up for success. Now, if you don't have that, you can do a DBA. There's lots of different strategies. I don't want to tell you to go out there and change your name or anything like that, but I'm just telling you why you might not be getting the visibility you think you should be getting. Those are factors that come into play. What you don't want to do is go out there and say, Bob's Restoration, Water, Mold, Fire, Restoration Services in Chicago. Like, you don't want to do that for your name. Google's going to ding you. You're going to get kicked off of it, right? And then the other factor is, do you have enough reviews to support the fact that you are a restoration company in Chicago versus your competitors? That's a huge factor that comes into play. No amount of marketing is going to overcome a lack of reputation for a company. So some trust signals you want to look at on Google Maps. You want to make sure it's verified, obviously. There's several different types of verification issues. I don't know if anybody in the chat, if you've ever run into a verification issue, put a 6 in the chat. It can be extremely frustrating and you want to pull your hair out if you're dealing with Google on the verification issues. But there's 2 different types of verifications that we highly recommend to go through. One of them is obviously the live recording. The other is video verification with a live Google rep. So those are options that are out there. Pretty much phone and email don't work anymore. The number of reviews, the review consistency, and if your profile has been suspended and you actually got through the actual suspension and did the verification, that actually is a very strong, good signal. And your profile is usually trusted more. And then obviously the back end things like uploading images, uploading information, setting holiday hours, replying to reviews, all of these are trust factors that Google is looking to see that activity within that profile. If there is a field on the profile, make sure it's all filled out. You've got to make sure it's all filled out and as much details as possible there. Now, the next component I want to talk about is website visibility. Obviously, if you have a website, that's pretty much a given. You've got to have a website nowadays. The website is important, but at the end of the day, if you don't on your website, you need to talk about who you are from a brand perspective, what type of services you provide and where you help people, what specific areas in your territory you help people, right? And so it needs to be fast loading on mobile, all standard things for a website. These are just generalized layouts. I've got a webinar very specific and detailed about how to set up your website for success, but generalized layouts of what you should look like. We'll talk a little bit more about the website in the content section and branding section here, and I'll get more specifics of what you need to put in there to rank for AI search and general search. But going back to visibility, there's also paid visibility. Everybody's aware probably of Google LSA. If you're doing Google LSA or Google Guaranteed, put a 1 in the chat for me. I just want to understand who's here and what are you doing that? Okay, Sierra, you're doing that. Okay. Anybody doing Google Ads, put a 2 in the chat. This is pay-per-click. You're bidding on pay-per-click. Okay, got it. Most people are probably not doing meta ads, but meta ads is an effective strategy for brand awareness and brand engagement, but we'll dig into those here. So Google Local Service Ads, a lot of times I talk to people, they're like, yeah, I set it up, I got verified, I'm not getting anything out of it. The phone's not ringing. It's super frustrating. Like I've got my budget set at $40,000, right? And they're not. Well, the Google LSA or Google Local Service Ads or Google Guarantee, whatever you want to call it, is directly linked to your Google Maps profile now, and it pulls in the reputation from that profile. As you strengthen the visibility of that Google Maps profile, your LSA profile will strengthen as well, and you get more opportunities. So if you don't have visibility in Maps, you're typically not going to have visibility in your Google Guaranteed profile. There's a lot more competition in Google Local Service Ads now than there used to be a year ago. And so there's only 2 spots, typically, sometimes 3 spots in this area. So you have to build that visibility and strength on your Maps profile, which will build visibility and strength on your LSA profile. Now, if you haven't set up a Google Local Services profile, you have to have a certificate of insurance. You got to have IIC, RC, or contractor license, background check, 3 to 5 reviews for that to be set up. And then you want to make sure everything is filled out in there as possible. You can put your website, you can put a tracking number on there, you can put your location, set your budget, and so on and so forth. So it's a very effective strategy to use. But if you're not getting phone calls in there, there's a couple factors that come into play. If you have missed phone calls, it will kill your results on LSA if you have missed phone calls in there. They're just not going to recommend you anymore. Okay. The other thing is you want to be making sure you're providing feedback on each one of those leads that come through. Google has a thing that says, give us a rating on this lead, whether it was qualified or not. You want to provide that information in there. You want to provide information on if that job was actually converted to a paying client as well. So those are multiple factors that we handle for all of our clients to help them improve that visibility in there. But I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. There's so many competitors in the LSA market. If you're not getting a consistent amount of reviews, you will drop off the profile. If you're not answering the phone and you have missed phone calls, you will drop off and you might not recover your profile ever. So it's a very effective, cost-effective strategy. On average, on some territories, we're seeing $100 to $150 per lead. Other territories in Florida, for example, you could be paying $400 or $500, right? For those that are coming in. So Google Ads is a very effective strategy as well, but is it one of the most expensive strategies from a paid ads perspective? And the reason being is that you have some major players that are spending a lot of money on Google Ads that are driving up the cost. You not only have local independents and franchises spending, you have large franchises that are spending, you have lead generation companies like 33 Mile Radius, Inquiry, all of these other smaller lead generation companies, and they're driving up the cost because they don't have a local presence, and that's all they can use in order to generate leads that they sell back to you, right? So these costs are going to continue to go up in 2026. And we typically don't recommend clients doing pay-per-click unless you're already generating some around 15 to 20 jobs per month. Because if you stop and start pay-per-click, it's a recipe for the campaign not to work. And you need to look at it as, okay, I'm going to allocate $5,000 or $6,000 for pay-per-click this month, next month, and the next month, right? Clearly, you have to have the campaign set up correctly, your landing page set up correctly, the keywords and negative keywords, and all that stuff are part of the strategy. But if you're looking just to turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And also, if you have a budget, usually I'd say in general, all across the entire country, if you have a budget less than $5,000, pay-per-click is not something I would recommend because of the amount of competition out there. If you're in a very small market, you could probably get away with less than that. But if you're in somewhere like Houston or Chicago or Cincinnati, those markets, you're just not, the cost per click is you're not going to have enough money to be able to get enough clicks to get enough data to have success. And so there are ways around it where you can change the scheduling hours, you can increase the budgets per day, pause the weekends, all of these more nuanced things to have you an effective strategy. I'm not saying pay-per-click doesn't work. I'm just saying it's the more expensive option. And so we have plenty of clients that are running it, plenty of clients that are getting results out of it, but it is by far the most expensive. So there are strategies in order to get you the best ROI that we can certainly share with you. As far as Facebook ads, water damage, you're not going to get anything out of Facebook ads for this. It does work for mold. It works for other satellite services. It works for roofing. It works for remodeling sort of things as well. But this is a tool that we mainly use for brand awareness and local traffic going into your website and those sorts of things. And Google loves to see that. You can have a very effective $3 to $5 campaign that is generating local signals to your website, to your Maps profile, social channels, and those are all signals that are important for AI search nowadays to see that local traffic is coming into your website, into your online assets. So I'm not going to dig too far into Facebook ads, but if you do have any questions, you can certainly post those in the chat there. Now, AI search visibility. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hearing so much about AI search, right? And what should we be doing to make sure we have success on AI search? This 2025 was the Wild West when it comes to AI search. And it's almost like when the dot-com era first started. I'm probably aging myself a little bit here, but I built my first website in 1998. And it actually was it was a cool experience, but at the end of the day, technology has changed, and AI search is having an impact, but not as much of an impact just yet as you would think. Okay. Google is still the dominant player, still the number one big dog in the market, right? But you need to be preparing for the future. And here's a kind of a matrix here that I will share with you here that talks about what are the most tier one, tier two, and tier three things that you need to look at from an AI search platform. Google AI overviews. What this is doing is basically AI overviews are preventing traffic from going into your website. They are actually giving the answer to that searcher of who the top restoration companies are, who should I call because I have a flood in my home. Those sorts of general queries, they're gonna give those answers without saying, "Hey, go to this website and call these people." So if you've noticed any dip in your online traffic or those sorts of things, it's because of the AI overviews. Now, it doesn't mean your website's not important. It doesn't mean Google Maps is not important or social media is important because the AI overviews come from the information that Google knows about all those online assets for you. So the AI overviews is evolving and changing very quickly. ChatGPT, hear a lot about it. How should I use it? Is it used for search? It is. We see clients all the time getting leads coming from ChatGPT, but the number or the volume is a lot less than Google. It's going to probably increase. Same thing with all of these other platforms like Clog and Grant and Perplexity and all these crazy names out here. Google Gemini, all of these things that you're seeing. But the top three are listed up there. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about AI overviews here. So again, like I said, AI overviews is looking at not only your Google Maps profile, but your website, your reputation, other influences like your local content and your service areas that you clarify in your Maps profile on your website. And then are you also being mentioned in other parts of the community? Did you have an article done in a local newspaper? Are you part of a chamber of commerce? Those sorts of things are dramatically impacting AI overviews for your company. And so what we basically recommend here, and things are changing wildly. I'm just going to preface this is what we know so far, is that obviously you have to be generally helpful on the content that you're producing. And you need to have that content published just about everywhere across social, website, Google Maps, all of those platforms. And then you need to have the reputation to back it up, right? So mobile-friendly website, easy to find numbers, your hours, joining the chamber, like I said, sponsoring local Little League teams and getting a link of your logo on their Little League website, being a part of a local parade. I can tell you that we had a Halloween parade in my town here in Edwardsville, Illinois, and there's lots of insurance companies there. There's tree removal companies. I didn't see one plumber. I didn't see one restoration company. I didn't see one roofer have a float in the parade. And there were probably 50,000 people on the street looking at their trucks, right? So it's a missed opportunity. You can join a parade for 150 bucks, get a sponsored link from the local chamber to your company, and you have eyeballs all over your logos. So if you have any opportunity to take advantage of any of the seasonal parades that are coming up, I definitely recommend doing it and making sure you get that link from that local source to your website. So a lot of things haven't changed as far as what you need to do on local presence, but I think there's even more emphasis on not just relying on Google for all the information, but utilize platforms out there and all the other local community events. Like, for example, my community has a touch a truck thing. Take your restoration truck, go show off your equipment, get a sponsored link from that touch a truck event, and another very positive local signal that helps you promote out there across your community. Okay. Other things that we're seeing is that, so I already iterated about the community involvement and those things like that. The local news articles, press releases, we do press releases. We get some of our clients picked up on USA Today. Although it's a national paper, they have lots of local papers that you can highlight that you are now IICRC certified. You can highlight your anniversary of being in business. You can highlight a lot of different things. Okay. And so, Those are things that we're seeing. Common sides to avoid on the AI search side of things. You're going to see so many people out there saying, "Oh, we're going to guarantee you AI search results. We got the insider's knowledge." There's all these things that people are going to be complaining. At the bottom, at the end of the day, nobody knows exactly how all these platforms are doing their algorithms that they're using. But what we've been able to test because we're specialized in the industry of what clients are succeeding and what are not, which clients are not, and then finding ways to attack that and implement those strategies so that we raise that local visibility. So um, what to look for basically is having multiple strategy across all the profiles online. And the fundamentals still work of what used to be. It's just now you need to have a little bit more emphasis on local signals, on local communities, and those sorts of things. If you're still with me, give me a one, give me some encouragement here. So awesome. So we're going to talk about branding here. Branding is something that a lot of people can say, oh, yeah, we have branding for our company. We have a logo, we got branded trucks, we got all of those sorts of things. And that's key, obviously a key, but we want to have branding online. We want to be producing content that provides and shares your experience, your expertise, who you are, and your trustworthiness. Okay. And so there's a fancy little algorithm here. This is actually from Google's patents that talks about the EAT strategy. And um, basically what that means is it's no longer okay just to publish a blog about something that you do. You want to publish a blog about common issues that people, the reason why people are calling you. You've got so much data as far as why people called you. They didn't call you because they were typically looking for a restoration company. They called you because they had a problem. So we focus content around problems. We focus content around jobs that you've completed, before and after images. What was the problem? What was the solution? Where was the job located at? And then we use press releases and location pages and frequently asked questions and backlinks and all these things in order to create this sort of trust triangle from Google's perspective. You can say you do a service, prove to me you do a service, and then back it up with a reputation. That creates a sort of a trust triangle here in order for your company to Google to trust what you're saying about what you've done and how you do it. Okay. So content, focus around emergency-based content. So what I mean by that is what is your response time? Are you available 24/7? Are you local? Right. And so it used to be somebody you could search, you could focus the content around water damage near me, right? Well, what does that mean? That's not how a typical searcher searches. They're going to pick up their phone and they're going to do voice search, or they're going to do a search around, the issue they have, right? And so we want to be making sure that we're covering those topics. But when we respond or create content on our website, we want to have response time in there. We want to say we're 24/7. We want to say we're certified in IICRC. If you are, you want to have your 5-step process of how you actually restore these things. Not that the homeowner is going to read through all of that, but the AI systems in Google is going to be understanding that, yes, they're checking all these boxes in order for me to recommend them to that searcher. That's how Google makes money, because people keep coming back to Google for answers to things. Okay. So the other thing is voice search. I don't know about you guys. I have an iPhone. I use voice search. It's becoming very popular, more popular than it ever used to be. And AI search platforms has voice search in it as well. So they're not searching water damage repair. They're searching who can fix a water damage issue in my home now, or those types of things. I need a plumber for a emergency pipe break, right? That's the way people are searching. And think about why people called you. Start writing those down those things, and then be able to create content around that. Use natural language. Don't keyword stuff things, and make sure that your content is related to the actual city or the surrounding areas of where you're actually doing work. Okay. And so don't just publish a blog article saying we do water damage repair. We want to talk about specifics of it. We do water damage repair in Boston, Mass. We've helped people in these neighborhoods. we've helped that are located next to whatever that is, and that big thoroughway through Boston there. The more specific you can be and not overly technical on implementation of keyword stuff, then the better off you're going to be. The systems, the search platforms, the AI platforms are way smarter than they used to be. And so we want to talk like humans. We want to create content like humans are looking for. Okay. Branded videos. Branded videos are basically videos about your services, about your case studies, testimonials, about your team in your office. They can be uh, long or short form videos. They can be posted on YouTube. YouTube is, many people don't know this, the second biggest search engine out there. It's obviously owned by Google as well. But it actually is a very valuable source because you create these videos and then you embed them onto your website and your social profiles, and you're going to get a lot more visibility into that search platform as well. On a social media perspective, let me take a step back here. Social media perspective, Facebook, Google Maps, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I'm missing, I already said YouTube, but YouTube should be in here too. Those are the social platforms that we focus on and have had the most success with. Certainly, you can do TikToks, you can do X, you can do those other ones too. But these are the ones that we find to be the most successful, and primarily because the bottom bullet here, the social media posts are being indexed on Google. Basically, what that means is when you do a social media post and you do it correctly, meaning you're talking about your brand, you're talking about the different topics that we've already covered, that post is actually going to show up in Google's index now. And that never used to be the case. These will drop off quick. They're not going to stay indexed. So that's why you need to be posting more frequently, a couple times a day. Sorry, not a couple times a day, a couple times a week. You don't need to do a couple times a day. You certainly can if you have a lot of time on your hands, but ultimately, social media has an impact on local brand and local trust signals. And so you can do posts around your brand, your services, your reviews, your case studies, or jobs that you've completed. Those are common types of things that you want to do. And you can do that on your company profiles, but I would also share those posts across your personal profile too, because your personal profile will always get more visibility than your brand or your company profile. So if you post something about a job you did I'm in St. Louis, so if you post a job about a job you did in Edwardsville, Illinois, I would share that across your personal profile as well from your business profile. Um, so that's social media. Let's talk about reputation. I know we're right at 40 minutes after. I appreciate you hanging in here with me. Let's talk about reputation. Now, how does all of this link together? Everybody still with me here? Put a 9 in the chat if you're with me. Hopefully you're getting some value out of this. Awesome. Thank you guys. None of this visibility and branding works if you don't have the reputation to back it up. All right. We can say we're the best. We can stand on a rooftop, shout from a megaphone and say, we are the best restoration company. Google's going to be like, great. I hear you. Show me that other people say that. Okay. So I get it. It's hard to get reviews in this industry. It's so hard sometimes because if you're dealing with the rebuild side of things, that is a whole different complexity. But you still have to get reviews, and they are critically important, right? Obviously, we want to provide amazing experience to our clients, and that starts as the moment you pick up the phone, right? You want to be a part of the community, and then you want to ask for reviews. Don't be afraid to ask for reviews because you're afraid of a negative review. You want to strive for that 5-star reputation, and it starts the moment you answer the phone. So if you're answering the phone, you're like, you're starting off on the wrong foot, right? You want to provide that 5-star reputation. Okay. The best time to ask for that review is after you help solve that first issue. If you're doing mitigation and you're doing rebuilds, get the review right after the mitigation happens. That's when you help them with their immediate problem. Okay. You can get another review from the spouse or somebody else on the restoration side as well. But as soon as you solve that media problem, they gave you a heads up, your team did awesome, ask for the review. That's the point you want to get that view. Okay. Now, obviously, having a powerful reputation is going to improve your online visibility. It's going to give you the ability to get more referrals and more repeat business, and people are going to look up your reputation online. There's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Here's a study that I did earlier this year. I looked at some major franchises across the country, and these are the amount of reviews that they had across these three major franchises. Okay. Um, Competitor one, two, and three, and you can see the differentiating in those, right? So if you're asking yourself right now, how am I going to get to there? It's not always the overall number that matters, it's the consistency of it. Okay. The consistency is by far the biggest factor that Google is looking for nowadays is that if you go in gaps of 3 months or a month without getting a review on your profile, Google's like, is this company still relevant? Are they still doing business? Okay. So even if you have 40 reviews and your next competitor down has 20, but you haven't gotten a review in 3 months, you're going to start dropping in your visibility because you're not as relevant. All right. So the average scores of those three competitors were right here. I think we all would agree that I want to have a 5 star, but the visibility of these competitors is extremely good because they're committed to this strategy of getting reviews, whether they're a 3 star or a 4 star or a 5 star, right? You're going to get 1 stars. That's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's how you respond to those 1 stars. Now, where should I be getting reviews? Google is always going to be the most important for right now. I shouldn't say always, but it is the most important. Secondary is Yelp and Facebook. You might say, why Yelp? Well, Yelp is actually a big player on the voice search side of things. Now, if you've ever created a Yelp profile, you're going to get pestered by their salespeople left and right, buying ads for them. I varying degrees of success of that, but just tell them you're not interested. At the end of the day, you need to have some positive reviews coming in on Yelp too, and on Facebook. All right. There's other platforms that you can look at. I've got some of those listed there, but it's about the comprehensive review profile across all your platforms. That's important. I'm not saying tomorrow change your strategy of posting all reviews on that you maybe have now on Google to Yelp or something like that. What I'm saying is sprinkled in the other platforms as well, because these AI platforms, they are actually not just relying on Google for the number one source of data, because they're becoming competitors, right? They are direct competitors. And so this is kind of a little graph here that I'm sharing with you on citations that are coming up when AI is referencing platforms. What are they looking at from a reputation standpoint? Google is still number one. You've got Yelp, you've got Facebook, and Better Business Bureau in there in the top tier of categories. You obviously want to mention, you want to respond to reviews, but you want to get your clients to actually mention your brand name in those reviews. Don't stuff a bunch of keywords in there and, oh, this company helped me with water damage restoration, blah, 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 blah. Make it real, make it authentic, but try to get them to mention your brand name in there. Brand presence is extremely important part of the review generation part of things, and location as well. So if you help them out at a specific, if they're located in a specific location and you help them with a specific service, you can kind of say, hey, we'd love for you to share your experience about how we helped you so that we can help other people just like you. That's how you would ask for a review. And if you wouldn't mind mentioning our company name in there and how we helped you, and the city that you're located in, right? And so people love to help people. And if you ask in that way, instead of just saying, "Hey, can you post a review? Here's our review link," it comes across way different. All right. So that is that's a little bit about reviews, and asking for reviews is you can do text, email, review postcards. Obviously, you're going to get negative reviews. Make sure you respond professionally to those negative reviews, and promote those reviews across social media, across your website, across a video as well. So what we've covered so far is roadmap to how to get your phone calls to ring. Talked about AI search, talked about SEO, pay-per-click, LSA, social. We're going to move next to setting up your budgets and how to help you reach those goals, and developing an action plan. So hang in with 26 solid goals for 2026. I love this quote here. Setting goals is the first step into turning the invisibility into the visible. Okay. So now's the time of the year to do this. Make sure you're setting goals for your 1 year target, and then you can do 5 year targets as well. I find, as a business owner myself, I find it hard to do anything out more than 3 years, but 1 year target at least. Break that down into a quarterly basis and a monthly basis, right? And then you have to review with your leadership team on a regular basis, and into that. I always recommend setting a reward for these goals and consequences for not. Whether you're going to donate to the opposite political party as that consequence, get your head shaved by your team. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, set a goal, set a consequence. And I'm a visual person, so whatever that goal is, I'm going to post that image in my office, and I'm going to make sure I'm reminded on a daily basis of what those goals are. Um, as far as goals that you want to break those down to, and this is exactly what I do for my company too as well. What's our yearly revenue target? What's our monthly target? What's our average transaction value? And how many jobs do we need to achieve that target, right? And so an example of that would be if you're trying to do 1.5 million in revenue, you're going to average that out on a yearly basis, 125. Clearly, there's highs and lows for depending on months, seasonality, all of those things. But this is just giving an example of how you do that. The good thing is you can use ChatGPT and these other platforms to help you work through these scenarios, right? So what's your average sales value for a mitigation job versus a rebuild, working those numbers, and this will give you a range of how many jobs you need to be doing on a monthly basis. So reversing that top line number down to actual goals for a monthly basis is critical for the success. I do have a planner here that I'm going to share with you guys that you can utilize. And I'm also going to show you an example. We will, on the replay, we're going to be sending out this tool that you can use. But basically what this does is allows you to put your revenue target that you want in there. And then typically these are ranges that we are seeing in the industry that we would recommend from a budgeting standpoint if we're trying to reach these goals. Now, if you don't have the money to be investing that's a different conversation you need to have with yourself. So if you have a goal to reach $1 million in revenue, the honest truth here is that companies are investing these sorts of numbers in order to reach those goals. Now, if you have a huge plumbing referral partner, this could be totally different for you, right? If you have multiple plumbing referral partners, those costs, depending on what you have set up on those referral relationships, those could be different as well. I'm just giving you a guide of how to think and reverse engineer your revenue targets for your company and breaking it down from an annual perspective, a monthly perspective. And then you can also break this down to, okay, how much percentage am I going to allocate towards online versus offline versus repeat business? And then so let's say you wanted to allocate 70% of your money online because that's your strategy. Maybe it was 50%, right? And this was 45%, right? So maybe you have some big plumbing referral partners and that's your investment there, right? So if you were going to do online, are you splitting this between SEO and PPC? And this is what your investment would be for those services on a monthly basis. A tool we're creating, we're going to share this with you. There's another tool that we're going to be creating as well to reverse engineer lead costs and all those sorts of things. But breaking this down helps you understand specifically, what sort of money you need to allocate in order to be competitive with those 10% of companies out there that are actually generating that revenue. Just because you set a revenue number, clearly that doesn't mean you're going to achieve it without some sort of investment in order to do it. So all these strategies can be very widely. Maybe you're only doing 30% of online, right? And you have a much more offline strategy. But at the end of the day, knowing the numbers and what it's going to take to invest to achieve those is half the battle. Okay. So we'll share that with you. Hopefully that was helpful on those fronts. But we'll send that out over after the webinar. So next, let's talk about, well, before I proceed, any questions on budgeting, allocation of budgets, anything like that in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, go and post those in there. As far as projects for you to work on, hopefully you've gotten one or two things out of this that you want to check. for your profile and for your business. These are some of the things that we talked about here. These are different strategies, different things you can put into play. But I'd love for you to take out a piece of paper, put 2026 projects online that you're going to work on. And I'd love for you to pick three things that you're going to work on, whether it's review my visibility on AI search. Do I have tracking numbers on my Google Maps profile, my LSA profile, and my ads profile? And I'm not recording those calls and being able to analyze those calls with AI like we do for our clients and be able to determine, is my team answering the phone effective? Are we asking the right questions? Are we converting those jobs? Are they not valid jobs that are coming through? Like those are different things that projects that I'd recommend. Are you a part of the local chamber? Are you doing a community parade? Those sorts of things. I'd highly recommend writing those three things down. And then who on your team or who externally are you going to contact in order to help you accomplish these things? I'd love for you to just share one thing that you're going to be working on for your company that maybe you got some insights on. If you could in the chat, give me one thing that you're going to focus on for your business, Kevin, Anna, Griffin. What's something you're going to work on and look at from a project perspective for your online perspective? Gathering more reviews, definitely. Yep. Working on website presence for sure. Awesome. Thanks, Griffin. Yeah. Yeah, and again, we're going to send you the replay back off of this afterwards. I always love this quote from Thomas Jefferson: "Never put off until tomorrow what you can do today." You know, you just spent 50 minutes of your time today. We shared lots of information here, lots of insights. I really want you to accomplish one or two of those things. And so writing it down, putting on a post-it, and putting a name to who's going to actually help you do this or whether you're going to do it is going to be critical. The best people that succeed in life are people that take action. Imperfect action is what I always recommend. Okay. So it, again, our key steps in 2026 of building that local trust is visibility, branding, and reputation. Each and every month, we're going to have different topics that are kind of cover these more in depth. But we do have tons of checklists and everything like that we can share. Here's some examples of our case studies that we have implemented. One team members on our team now, and we work with tons of clients across the country, and we would love to have the opportunity to help you. And whether it's you downloading a resource or whether you're booking a call with us, this is our comprehensive strategy that we do for all of our clients. We cover all of these areas. And if you are interested in having a call with me, you can certainly book a 30-minute call with us, and I will post that link into the chat there. If you have specific questions on your profile, your setup, you can certainly do that. And we will also have resources available for you here to download at this link here. I could remember what year we're going into. So these are going to be resources as far as the book I wrote, some checklists. These are additional videos that we have done over the years, and then we've got again, you can schedule a meeting with me on the calendar for asking specific questions. Now, that is the end of the webinar. I do have time available for questions on your specific scenarios if you do have them. I'd love to get one or two questions from you guys that have stayed around towards the end here of your profiles, your presence, or your specifics. Anna, no problem. If you have any questions specifically on your situation, I'm more than happy to answer those at this point. Awesome. So not seeing any questions specifically, but feel free to hit us up on restorationmarketing.com/calendar. Download those resources at restorationmarketing.com/2026. And looking forward to having you on a future webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at 314-582-5210 and book a calendar meeting with us if you would like to talk about your specific situation. So until next time, thank you so much for your time.